Hi, I'm Piper. This is my dad, and this is a very special episode of Piper's Notes.
And guys, I don't like to come on here. You know, with our mission is to promote the NWA and to give something for the NWA family to chew on and digest. And I don't like to fanboy out, but our guest today is a really, really special guest. I've been looking forward to this for days. He is the most indispensable researcher and resource for those who are committed to the National Wrestling Alliance. My friend, who runs the Alliance Wrestling podcast, Alliance blog, the one and only, the great JayCal. How's it going, Jason?
It's going great, man. And I know since this is a special episode of Piper's Notes, I brought my own Piper to come along with me. And we're just very happy to be here today. And man, Piper, can you say hi to everyone?
Hey, Piper, we're so happy to have you on here with us. We think it's very appropriate that you're on this show with us. So Piper, can I ask you a question?
What?
Do you have any favorite cartoons or shows that you watch? Do you like Baby Shark, or do you like Dora the Explorer or anything like that?
I like Baby Shark.
Baby Shark? Mm-hmm. Yeah, our girls like Baby Shark too.
Do the dance.
Baby Shark, Baby Shark, Baby Shark.
That's cool.
Yeah, we don't watch traditional TV in the house, but there is a ton of YouTube videos, so they watch a little bit of everything.
Oh, I get it, man. We're the same way. So JayCal, you are for those who, well, everybody knows who JayCal is. I'm going to call you JayCal if that's cool, because that's what we usually say in our household.
No, that's fine.
You're always busy. You're always putting out content related to the National Wrestling Alliance. I'm curious, what's a day in the life of the JayCal family look like?
Well, since COVID-19 has kind of changed a lot of things. It used to be Dad would get up and go to work around 6 o'clock in the morning, and would be home around 4 o'clock, and then it would just be, that would be our day. And whenever I could, I'd find time to either write or do videos. But since we've been home, a lot more family bonding, which is maybe one of the best parts of the whole thing. We're eating more meals together. I made Piper pancakes this morning, so that was cool. And were the pancakes good? And then both my girls, Claire and Piper, Claire's my 7-year-old, they actually have a YouTube channel as well. So practicing my craft for my videos, I've also been practicing the craft to make their videos, and they do like unboxing, or when we would go to a theme park, they would kind of give us the tour of it. And so that's something we've been doing together as a family. And it's I'm trying to stay busy. I do still work remotely from home and occasionally have to go into the office, but for the most part, it's just the last few weeks is just spending time with family. I know that's family's super important to me. I know it's important to you as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And it just, it makes dealing with all of this so much easier when you have, a family, a good family to be a part of.
Right. Now, you notice, Piper, he's wearing an Angels hat there. Is that an Angel? Yeah, that's an Angels hat.
Yes, sir.
I like baseball.
My two passions, besides my family, are wrestling and baseball. I've been an Angels fan since I was her age, and my pops. We actually grew up in the suburbs of Los Angeles. We were kind of equal distance between Dodger Stadium and Angel Stadium. My dad said we went to Angel games because parking was so much easier, and I thought. Growing up, I thought my dad was just a devout Angels fan, just like me and my brother were. So I thought, oh, yeah, we're Angel fans because Dad's an Angel fan. No, it was just easier to get in and out of the stadium.
Right.
So, we go to the baseball games, too. In fact, we don't live far from where the Angels single-A minor league team play. So we go to a lot of their games, too. They're called the 66ers, which is a throwback to the Route 66.
That's cool.
It goes right by the stadium in San Bernardino. So, yeah, we do a lot of baseball in this house.
Piper's never been to a baseball game, have you, Piper?
Yeah, I have.
And guess what?
What?
I named after a wrestler.
Cool.
Yes. Oh yeah, there it is.
Route 66, brother.
That's
I had to
the-
bring this in to promote that. You're
Yeah.
not. Are you named after a wrestler? What wrestler are you named after,
Are you named
Piper?
after? I'll hold it for you. Go ahead. Who are you named after?
A Rowdy Piper.
Man, we love Rowdy Piper. He's one of the greatest of all time, and a lot of people ask me if my Piper is named after him, and I wish, but we're Presbyterians, and so you've got some Scotch Irish influence there. That's him, yeah.
Yeah.
That's him. Now,
This is a Funko also.
that is. We love Funkos. Now, Piper, are you a fan of Ronda Rousey? Are you familiar with her at all?
She, and this is where this Piper isn't a huge wrestling fan, so she doesn't know Ronda Rousey. She doesn't really watch wrestling. My dog just walked in here, and that's why the camera tilted a little bit.
Oh, that's okay.
Good.
We our big passions in our household are music, rock and theater, music, baseball and wrestling. And one of the common threads that I see, and like they all have these like real sort of shady, gray, almost spooky origin stories. Like we're not, there's all this mythology surrounding the beginning of wrestling. I'm reading Brian Solomon's book. I've read it 4 or 5 times, but I constantly reread it because I always glean something out of it new. And the NWA National Wrestling Alliance book, it's a phenomenal book. But the shady origins and then the origins of rock and roll, rooted in the Crossroads encounter of Robert Johnson, and then the shady origins of baseball. It's just like they're all 3 kindred spirits, man. It's like, how can you like one and not the others?
Agreed. You're speaking into my wheelhouse right now. Those are 3 things that I greatly enjoy. And Piper is still not into wrestling, and her music tastes are very eclectic. Her mom listens to everything, so her Piper and her sister Claire kind of listen to pop. They listen to country. They listen to rock, a little bit of hip hop. So like when the Trolls movie just came out, like she was all about the Justin Timberlake Trolls movie and all that good stuff. But and I'm over here like, come on guys, let's go listen to grunge music. Who wants to hear Nirvana? Let's go. Not so much.
There you go, because Piper normally asks about favorite music types. Yeah. So obviously you're a grunge guy.
I'm very much a grunge guy. My favorite band is Pearl Jam, but when I say that, then I'm like, well, there's 10 other bands I can think of that I really, really enjoy. Mm-hmm. Tool.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Soundgarden.
Tool.
I think I might be in your wheelhouse.
You are, man. We're like we definitely need to meet up, man, because like Tool, my wife and I, we're Cure fans, but like Tool is like number 2 or number 3. We're like Depeche Mode fans, The Cure, Tool.
Oh yeah.
Those are Tool, man. Gosh, in fact, I was sitting. We were talking about the video to do, and I've been waiting for somebody to do to respond to either Vicarious or one of the Perfect Circle songs, and I was like, you know what? It's JayCal, man. I want to do Badstreet USA. Come on, man.
If I ever am invited on again, let's talk Tool exclusively. Let's just talk about Tool.
For sure.
Yeah.
Have you seen Tool before in concert?
Yeah, I've seen them twice. Once like 20 years ago, and once like last year. And both concerts were a very surreal experience. The lead singer, you want to go get it? Let me take this out of your ear, though. The lead singer, Maynard, is very... It's not about him in the show, and oftentimes he's behind a dark light, so you can't even see him.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, and his voice is so good that sometimes you're like, is he even there? Is it just lip syncing?
Right.
Because he's so talented. And the first time I saw him was at an outdoor venue, which was really cool. But seeing him inside, I saw him at the what's that place called? The Forum, the fabulous Forum. That's where the Lakers used to play. They redid the whole thing to make it more in tune for music, and it was just awesome, just incredible. Like, I got lost in the songs. I just sat there and the music kept playing, and it got so repetitive, the sound, and you just kind of, it's almost like a trance-like experience. You just sit there and you're like, wow, how long has this song been playing for? And it's really cool, man. I highly recommend, if you ever have the opportunity, if they ever play out your way, definitely go see them.
We do. We go see them, and we see them every time they come within like 4 hours. We go, and we're lucky because we're right outside of Chattanooga, which is 2 hours from Nashville, 2 hours from Knoxville, 2 hours from Birmingham, 2 hours from Atlanta. So we're in a really good spot for music and all that.
Yeah, you are.
Are you listening to like a Perfect Circle or any of those other projects that Maynard does?
Yeah, I think he's so talented that I try to listen to wherever he goes. Like, he did a song with the Deftones called Passenger.
Yeah.
And that was on the White Pony album. And that's just, if you haven't heard it, listen to it. It's awesome. He was on one of the Rage Against the Machine songs.
Right. Yes.
His voice is just so. It's so unique, and it's so just. It's got so many elements to it, and that when you hear him sing, it's like, wow, how's all that noise coming out of one person? And he, again, like, his voice is so unique and so special that, like, pretty much any song he sings, it sounds good to me. And so the Perfect Circle, I definitely enjoyed Perfect Circle. My wife and I saw them like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the Lucifer stuff is not really my cup of tea, but there's some of the songs, like he did a song with, oh gosh, what's her name? An actress, the actress from like 28 Days and 28 Days Later, and all those movies. Mila Jovovich.
Yes, sir.
He did he did a song with Mila Jovovich, and you don't think of Mila Jovovich as a lyricist or a singer or anything like that, but she actually has some pipes, and the combination of the two, it's really intense. It's really, for me, that's fun music.
Yeah.
So you really tapped into something today.
if you were to go to like my iPod playlist, like there is a Lucifer song that he does. It's a cover of a Rocket Man that he does. It's freaking amazing. It's like my wife Tanya, she got me into Tool. I came to them lately, but she was like, "You got to hear this cover of Rocket Man. It's like better than the original." I was like, "Oh, easy now."
He did a cover of Disco Queen, the David Bowie song.
Yeah,
and that one was just, oh gosh, I could sit there and listen to that all day.
Man, what are the?
Now you're making me.
There has been.
You're making me want to go into the library now.
And I know. Me too, man. Me too. One of the interesting things about wrestling is there has been this connection. I'm not going to say historically, but at least since the late 70s, 80, 81, 82, an intrinsic connection between rock and roll and its performance type orientation, the spectacle of it, and the world of pro wrestling. You know, you think about like Cyndi Lauper and what she brought to the WWF, and then of course you think of the stage entrances today. You think of the NWO coming out to Voodoo Child, but none of that happens. None of that happens without the fabulous Freebirds, man. None of it. And so today we thought, since we have the greatest NWA podcaster of all time, JayCal, on our show with his beautiful daughter Piper, we thought it would be appropriate. I would love to have done some Tool, and we will do it at a later time. But today, I thought it would be awesome to rock out with you to Badstreet USA if you're up for it, brother.
Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to put my headphones on. We'll do a little countdown. And
sure.
And you've got the link on your side, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you want to go or do you want to stay for this?
Go.
Okay, say goodbye real quick.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Piper. It was so good to meet you. I can't wait to meet you again soon, okay?
All right, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries, brother.
She was kind of,
no worries at all.
She was over it. All right, I got the Badstreet USA. The funny thing is, you sent that to me the last time I was in Georgia. My friend kept saying, "Hey, man, where's Badstreet?" I'm like, it's Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't find
Badstreet.
Badstreet.
Atlanta, GA.
All right, I think I'm ready.
Okay. So we'll do a little 3, 2, 1 countdown, and on go, we'll do it, okay? 3.
All right, sounds good.
3, 2, 1, and go. All right. Got the clouds. Obviously, we got some ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah. But you know, it is the baddest street in the whole USA.
It is. That's right. I don't care where you're at. I don't care if you're on 8 Mile, Detroit. I don't care. Badstreet USA.
You gotta love chain and leather pants, right?
We all had those, man. We all had those on the mean streets.
Maybe you did.
Here he is, man. What Ric Flair used to like to say, the poor man's Ric Flair. But Michael Hayes was a cool cat, brother.
I will forever remember his teaming with Lex Luger before Luger went horseman.
Yeah.
Good time for wrestling.
Very good time, yeah. Look at the band back here, man. At some point, somewhere Terry Gordy's back there.
Yeah, I thought that was Terry Gordy on guitar.
Let's see. Where is he at? The attire, man, it's like there'll never be another time like this. Uh-oh, they shooting diamond. They're playing bones right there, Pip. That's called playing bones.
Oh, and a switchblade.
Dude, man, this is timeless, man. This would get playing time today.
Call it the classic rock radio station right now. Let's get this going.
No doubt, man.
Yeah, Michael P.S. Hayes might have been the coolest dude in all of Jim Crockett Promotions. I mean, we think of him as in the Freebirds, sometimes as baby faces in the NWA, but
yeah,
their feud with the Von Erichs was money. I mean, they were printing money down in Texas.
Oh man, that's how it is. Like they'd go down to Texas, they'd be bad guys. They'd come over here to Georgia. I remember my dad taking us, and people were nuts about the Freebirds. You know, they're Jimmy Jam Garvin. Did you see Jimmy Garvin?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's Garvin.
Yeah, always the fourth Freebird, man. It's kind of like Jerry Lawler, man. Jerry Lawler, depending on where you went, he was over like a mug or he was hated.
Yeah. Well, I think when you get a trio like the Freebirds and put them in a group like the Von Erichs, who were so beloved in Texas, yeah, they're not only gonna be great heels, but you've got great faces to play off of.
Right.
There he is.
I don't know. Wherever they went, it seemed like even here in Georgia back in the 80s, Buddy always seemed to catch heat, man.
Yeah.
People like Bam
Buddy was
Bam.
the fall guy.
Yeah. And you know, I'm principal or assistant principal at Ridgeland High School, which is the alma mater of Terry Gordy. He's actually buried 8-9 miles from where I'm at right now, right outside of Chattanooga.
Terry Gordy was so underrated as a wrestler.
What's your thing now, Pip? Michael Hayes called himself Michael P.S. Hayes, purely sexy Hayes. I don't want to talk about things being sexy, but as an emerging teenager, would you look at Michael Hayes and say, this is an attractive dude? You would say no? See, I got the wrong idea then, because I always wanted to be Michael Hayes. That's why I got this beard. That's why JayCal has his beard.
Yeah.
I'm not growing it out to like Gary Horn proportions, but I like just that nice little coat. Bruh.
Well, he was such a fashion icon as well as a professional wrestler. I mean, the bleach blonde long hair and then the dark brown beard. I mean, He was doing the Hogan before Hogan was doing the Hogan.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. Love it, man. I could watch that. He does another thing. I know you've seen it. He does one called Back to Freebird Road that they record at the cemetery here on right on Missionary Ridge, right outside of Lookout Mountain. We've been there multiple times. But, we live in Freebird country, man. there'll never be another Hayes, Gordy Robertson, and Jimmy Jam Garvin, man. Jimmy Jam Garvin.
When you think about it too, right? So horseman country, I mean, that was a real thing, and the popularity that the horsemen had in the Mid-Atlantic area, especially in Charlotte, was huge, right? Probably in terms of popularity, only rivaled by the Freebirds. And, you had the 4 horsemen or the 3 Freebirds, and it was such a dynamic time. And I don't think there will ever be another Freebirds. I mean, you could throw the Shield out there, you could throw out Strictly Business. You'll never have another 4 horsemen. You'll never have another Freebirds.
Right.
That's not to say that we won't see a dominant 3-man faction or a 4-man group, but for that era, for that time, nobody was hotter than the Freebirds or the Horsemen in their own right.
Yeah, and you think because with there's something. And I'm not, we don't throw shade on anybody. I think the world is big enough for people to like and appreciate things. But it's like even with a group like Evolution, this is something that was clearly contrived as an effort to replicate that. Whereas when you look at the Freebirds and the Horsemen, it's like you hanging out with Madeline and stuff. There's an intrinsic kinship there. That's not a gimmick.
Right.
They're real friends, real brothers. They lived, moved, and breathed together. And so that's why I think a big part of that element is now in wrestling, and JayCal, you know way better than I do, but a lot of these things are confections. They're put together strategically, whereas there was something organic that can't be replicated unless you have a group of guys that come in and say, if you want us, you take the whole group. We come as a unit.
Right.
So you got some questions for him?
Oh, yeah. So I really, 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 really like theater and Broadway and stuff. So do you have a favorite Broadway musical at all? Disney counts too.
I have not ever been to a Disney, or not Disney, but a Broadway show, and it's something that I would like for my girls to have that. That's something that was never afforded to me growing up, so it's something I never really attached to. I know that I've heard great things about Wicked, and I was trying to talk my wife into going to that show years ago when it was out here at the Pantages, but we don't really, we haven't done a lot of Broadway plays, haven't been to a lot of shows like that, but that's something I definitely would be interested in doing, and especially for my girls. I don't, for me, like, and Robert, I'm sure you feel this way too, as a dad, a lot of times what we want to do kind of goes to the back burner because we want to make sure that our kids get to have the best fun and have all the things that maybe we didn't have growing up. Mm-hmm. So it's something that personally I haven't done yet, but I would love to. I'd love to take my daughters to go see a nice play, something different, something unique.
Oh yeah. Do you have a
guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure in music? As
a grunge fan, is there one that you is there a pop tune that you are digging, or a pop band that you don't want to admit that you're cool to enlighten the Piper's Notes universe in on today?
I love, my wife is very eclectic in her music taste. I'm mostly centered on music from 1994 to about 1998, but I do like all styles of music. I mean, we were playing LL Cool J this morning at breakfast, and before that we were playing, sometimes we'll just sit out there like, what we haven't heard in a while? Hey, Alexa, play, Chasing Waterfalls by TLC, or hey, let's hear, some, gosh, I'm trying to think of some of the bands recently. We did LL Cool J this morning. I grew up listening to hardcore gangster rap because that was popular when I was, 10 years old.
Yeah.
And so, like, I listened to a lot of NWA and Eazy-E, the other NWA.
Yeah. Too Short, those guys.
Too Short. I grew up listening to Run DMC, and honestly, I used to think that Walk This Way was a Run DMC song, not an Aerosmith song.
Right.
And I nearly got into a playground fight because of it, because this kid was so adamant that it was an Aerosmith song. I'm like, no, I saw it on MTV. You're wrong. But pop music, I mean, you can't argue with the talent that Justin Timberlake has. I mean, that guy is so good at everything he does. He's a wonderful actor. He does great music. And so when his music's on in the house, which is frequently, I like it. He did that song with Chris Stapleton, which, again, I'm not a huge country music fan, but the dynamic between the two and the soul and the song, I really enjoyed that. Say Something, I think, is what it's called.
Yeah.
But in terms of pop music, I can't really think of an art. I'm sure there's hundreds. I can't really think of one right now. I'm like, Sugar Ray, I'm like, well, that's not really pop, is it? That's more rock. But yeah, I mean, we do listen to a lot of pop music. Oh, Billie Eilish. How about that? Does that count
She's
for
great,
pop
man.
music?
Well, we don't believe in guilty pleasures in our house. We had a great interview with Reverend Dan Wilson from the NWA Anarchy days on this show.
Yes.
And you were one of the. I mean, you know him. You were on a really excellent DVD that was produced by Elbow or High Spots or something about the history and tradition of the National Wrestling Alliance, and I think you were featured on there. But we invited him on because he lives in Chattanooga, right down the road, and we also like film and horror. Well, we don't let her watch a lot of horror in some small measures. You know, she's getting to that age where.
Sure.
But we don't believe in guilty pleasures, and Dan Wilson said that same point when we interviewed him. It's like, man, if you like it, who's anybody to tell you that? I listen, just so you know. I listened to Any Meanie by Justin Bieber just about 2 hours ago. I think it's a cool song, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're the same here in this house because, again, my wife literally can be listening to, Tupac and Ice Cube 1 minute, the next minute listening to, Garth Brooks, and then later, capping it off with a little bit of TLC. So it's that whole myriad of, there is no resource that's uncovered to her. So we don't really call them, guilty pleasures. It's just music. What are you feeling right now? And I think that's one of the cool things about the Alexa or these digital assistants, right? You could say, "Hey, play this song," and boom, they'll play it.
Yeah.
I'm also a huge fan of before there was Buttermilk Biscuits, before there was Baby's Got Back from Sir Mix-a-Lot. Before that, he did a cover of not a cover, but a sampled Iron Man from Ozzy. And so he has a song, and it's not Baby's Got Back. It's nothing like you've heard, and it was really the first time that I was introduced to that whole rap and rock thing.
Yeah.
And I love that song. If you ever get a chance, you're bored, just go Sir Mix-a-Lot Iron Man, and it bangs.
I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out when we stop here. Hey, I don't like to get on here and ask a lot of wrestling questions, but I think a lot of our viewers would be interested. You're from California, and typically, although the NWA was certainly a global production, we typically associate the NWA with the Southeast more or less, and then Northeast and out West is AWA or WWF territory. What drew you? Because you are, I mean, objectively, you have the most important NWA related resource out there. What made you and what brought you into the NWA family, as it were?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that. I'm very flattered. I don't know if I agree with you, but I'm very flattered. I grew up, I just missed NWA Hollywood from the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. That was the LaBelle family. That's where Piper kind of found his group. Piper and Chavo Guerrero Sr. feuded for the NWA light heavyweight title. John Tolos and Freddie Blassie broke house gate numbers. Freddie Blassie was one of those guys that would go to Georgia and be the babyface of babyfaces, and then would come to California and would be hated, and it would literally bleed like a pig in the ring. I mean, it was pretty intense. So I missed that era. I missed all that good stuff. When I got into WrestleMania, or wrestling was around the advent of WrestleMania, we did not see the first one, but we did see pretty much the next 20 after that. And I was lucky enough to be one of the first homes with cable on my block. So, we were watching channel, for us it was channel 11 to watch, superstars of wrestling, the WWE, WWF. And so I grew up with wrestling from a long time, but I was introduced to Jim Crockett Promotions probably around 85, 86 with TBS Saturday nights. And I would watch TBS just like everyone else and fell in love with the Horsemen, Sting, Dusty Rhodes, Nikita Koloff, Lex Luger, the Freebirds,
right,
the Midnight Express. I was ingrained with that. And to me, I enjoyed the NWA more so than I did the WWF product. I was more connected to that audience, those wrestlers. I'll censor myself, but in my house, my mom was a huge wrestling fan growing up, and we would watch every pay-per-view that WCW put out, the NWA put out, and Ric Flair is, being challenged by Sting. My mom was so excited. Those damn horsemen better not interfere. Of course they wouldn't. She would yell some bad words, say we're never going to get this pay-per-view again. We're never going to watch this show again. And then, 3 weeks later when it came on, Lex Luger has a shot at Ric Flair. What do you think?
Yeah. Things have changed.
But
Things have changed, Mom.
Yeah, but those horsemen better not interfere. So I grew up loving wrestling, and that was part of just what I did on Saturdays. Once I figured out the time difference, the 3:05, I was hooked into my house watching TBS because I wanted to see what the Great Muta was going to do. I wanted to see what, who Nikita was going to call out next. So that's where it started. And just like everyone else at the time, when WCW bought Jim Crockett Promotions, I was led to believe that WCW was just the evolution of NWA, and that the NWA closed, which isn't true, by the way.
Right.
Because there was still, in Portland, there was Don Owens who was promoting the NWA. In 1994, Jim Crockett Jr. was promoting in Dallas. And then there was Steve Rickland in New Zealand. These promoters were still going on, but, in 1992, when WCW is basically just the focus now, and you don't hear much about the NWA, I kind of thought it all faded away.
Yeah.
So again, I grew up in the '90s, and I was a big fan of the Raw and Nitro Wars, the Monday Night Wars, and DX and the NWO and all that fun stuff. And then I started watching UFC, and I see this guy Dan Severn, who I wrestled in high school, so I was like, oh, cool, it's a guy I can relate to, a guy who wrestles.
There he is.
There I see him holding 10 pounds of gold. I'm like, whoa. Pump the front. What is this? What has he got? And I'm like, that's the belt I grew up with. That's the belt that Ric Flair has. That's my guy. That's the belt. So seeing Severn with that title in the UFC hooked me. And then I started trying to follow it. And again, you remember 1997, 1998, 1999. The internet was still very much in its infancy. There was no YouTube then. And in order to try to keep up with these things, you just had to research, you had to join newsletters, and I started doing that sort of stuff. Like, oh, wait, there's still an NWA? There's an NWA promoting in Florida, there's an NWA in New Jersey, the title's in Japan, what's going on? So I just started following the stuff on the internet. Like, if you find an interest, you follow it. So that's what I did, and sure enough, I started reading more and more, and then you saw Dan Severn on Monday Night Raw with the 10 pounds of gold, and you're like, oh, this is crazy. The NWA invaded WWF, and now all of a sudden, it's not just a secret, like, the NWA exists, and here it is. And around that time, I was hooked, and I would go visit the Wildside website with dial-up internet and try to watch those videos. I would follow, whatever the NWA did, I was going to their website. You see Steve Corino with a title, and you're like, oh, that's the guy from ECW. Cool, man. And then you see Hashimoto with the belt, and Hashimoto is to one of my favorite wrestlers is Samoa Joe. And Hashimoto is so much Samoa Joe and then some. And then being in Southern California, and I'm sorry if I'm jumping around a little bit, Hashimoto, after winning the title, he defeated Severn to win he defeated Corino to win the title. I think the long-term plans with it, there was a promotion that Hashimoto was working with in Southern California called UPW. That was the same place where John Cena got his start, the same place where Samoa Joe was discovered, Nathan Jones. A lot of the guys that ended up getting signed to the WWE developmental system came from UPW. And one day, at the show, you've got Tom Howard, who was the top face of UPW, challenging the 0-1 NWA World Heavyweight Champion Hashimoto. Now, the match didn't happen. It just ended up being more of a press thing than anything else. But in the audience, I'm like, holy crap, make this happen. So I got to see Hashimoto with that title live, and it just, all of these things kind of, over the course of the years, just reinvigorated me. So I was on the old NWA website. I was part of their message board. I was one of the moderators for that thing. And there was an NWA outlet here in California. They're called Car Consumer Pro Wrestling. Now, the talent that they used was actually really a real popular talent, and those guys later came on to form Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, which is the top indie promotion in Southern California, maybe the second biggest wrestling promotion, indie promotion in the United States. And they came directly from these like shows where basically they're at a car dealership. And in the middle of the nowhere, to attract fans, to people to come look at the cars, they hold wrestling shows at these dealership lots. So to just make a long story short, just following the NWA's progression, and then David Marquez bringing New Japan Pro Wrestling to Southern California, along with getting an NWA membership, it just opened up so many doors, and so much stuff was going on, and you couldn't find information. You just couldn't find results. You didn't know who the champions were. So I started compiling all that to make it into something easily digestible. First it was a message board, and then it was a website, and then the podcast, and all that just kind of evolved from, I wanted to know, and I thought there were like-minded people out there that just wanted to follow the NWA, because even 10 years ago, there wasn't just one NWA promotion. There was like 20 of them, 30 of them. Each one recognizing their own champion, having their own challengers. You know, all of them recognizing whoever held the 10 pounds of gold, but only really just focusing on their particular area. So if you wanted to know what was going on with the NWA North American champion, I mean, if you weren't following the promotion he was in, you didn't know.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of fell in love with it, and that's why I started the website.
That's awesome, man. Well, brother, we know you have a busy day of work ahead of you. We got Carneyland debuting. Now, this episode will air weeks from now. So Carneyland, we'll have a better handle on what that is. But we know you got things to get ready for, man. We definitely would love to have you back, you and Piper and Claire even. And we thank you so much for your graciousness and for the resource that you are to the NWA family. You're a key member of that. And you have our highest esteem and regard here from the Stinson household. So we thank you so much for being a guest today, brother.
Well, likewise, I tip my hat to you and Piper, because you guys are doing something very unique, very different. I think that's really cool. And I tried to do something with my daughter, my oldest, and she was like into it for a little bit and then not. But I think it's really cool that you're sharing your passion with wrestling and music with your daughter and giving her a voice. I really think technology and screen time for kids is important. I think that's how they're going to learn to survive in the new world, whatever it is, post this what we're going through right now. And I think you're doing a heck of a job raising Piper, because she seems like a delight, and I'm very happy to see like the future wrestling fans are here, and they're not just boys; they can be girls too, and I think that's great.
Oh, for sure. This girl's already got her 4th degree Mongrovian black belt. She broke the Mongrovian oath, brother, so she's well on her way to earning her mask at some point. So. I'm still stuck on the 3rd degree. I can't quite split the oath, but keep trying, man.
You got to take the Karate Kid bandana and put that on. That's going to help.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, brother, thank you so much, man. We'll talk later, okay?
Absolutely. You guys have a great day.